have anything else to sort of housekeeping stuff, but you can go ahead and take it away if you want.
Okay. It's going to be the most interesting style of presentation I've ever given. I'll have absolutely no benchmark for how boring I'm being. So,
yeah.
Feel free. I mean, my presentation style tends to be fairly like conversational driven. Like I kind of expect you guys to ask questions. So, if you have questions, then I will assume either that I am incredibly thorough or incredibly boring.
Yeah, we'll snore or something if it's getting boring.
You still there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so what I was going to about was, I think, Michael saw me talk about DocRaptor at Verge, and the presentation was like 3 minutes long, so it was pretty high level. But, so what I was going to do today was what Docker is, and then, like, why we made it, and then how we made it, both from a technical standpoint and kind of a business standpoint, and then learned from this thing, the kind of the high level things. So, DocRaptor, what DocRaptor is basically, so it says there, simple document generation, and basically what it is we made a thing, we made a web service, and this is our, design fancy graphic for this. It just takes HTML through a web interface and spits back a PDF or Excel document that you described in HTML. So really, in terms of description, it's a pretty simple service.
A res interface, you said?
Yeah, interface. So it's just
okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So like you check out. I don't know if you guys actually looked at DocRaptor.com, but you can see in our example section there are just some curl examples. So it's super. Like I don't know exactly what the technical level of your background is. I don't know what it is you guys do.
We're programmers. I think all of it.
So yeah. So for example, the curl examples make it super obvious. It's just post request with data and some parameters, and you get back your document. So why did we make it? Well, so we were in Ruby, and cons there. Ruby as a programming language was sometimes the libraries, especially like low-level stuff, like let's make an Excel document from scratch. So we used to use this thing called the spreadsheet gem, and the spreadsheet gem was fine as long as you only wanted to make an Excel document 20 rows or less. Yeah, we tried to make one that was 10,000 rows one time, and it took up 3 gig of memory and took half an hour. So it wasn't working out for us. So we switched to UPOI and just integrating with JRuby for projects to get this done. We expected behavior. My company is a consulting company, and what we do for businesses is we automate their business processes. So unsurprisingly, most businesses run on Excel, and they really want all the web apps we make for them to export things to Excel. That's how we found ourselves needing to do this thing on a regular basis. So we did the Apache project, the POI library, and fantastically thorough. Like you can do anything you want. But this is not exactly stellar, and also complicated to deploy because now we're using Ruby and Java. So things got complicated. Just to kind of give an example. The syntax was not actually overwhelming here. So as an example here, so this is the kind of this is an example thing that I made using DocRaptor. So this is the thing that we'd want to make. So it'd be some styling and and maybe cell merging and some formula stuff. So nothing, too crazy, but not simple. Example, I don't intend for you to read this, but just as an amount of code example. So like this is the Excel code you would need to write to produce a document that I just a screenshot of. By contrast, this is the DocRaptor code that you would need to make that exact same Excel document. You guys use Ruby at all?
I looked over syntax, but I'm not really familiar with it.
Okay. So this is written in a thing called Haml, which is kind of just they were literally so lazy they didn't feel like writing the end tag for HTML was worth time. So it's pretty much just HTML without the end tags, and it's white space aware. So nothing too fancy going on there. It's just some HTML with some inline styles. So the looking for a cost issue, which we were doing a lot of things with Excel, but we were also doing things with exporting too. Do you guys do this kind of stuff? Do you export? Do you guys make documents, dials, XLS, PDFs? Does this ever happen to you?
Done some Excel PDF generation.
So you know what I'm talking about here. You've looked at these libraries some.
Yeah, some stuff, just in .NET of, creating Excel and kind of emoting and modifying Excel documents that way too. But yeah, so I'm kind of familiar with that end of things.
Yeah. So I guess you were probably using stuff then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's that's an action point that I really I'm not able to make use of most of the time. So the best PDF generation library we ever found, one that seems to be far away, we ever found was called Prince, and Prince is great. It pretty much does everything that you'd ever want it to do, and has great images. It costs $4,000 a license. And it was a little difficult to convince our clients that they needed to front $4,000 so they could make one PDF a month. So we had that problem too, so we kept end up using much worse PDF libraries, which of course it cost them more development time. It's kind of a bad deal. So this sucks. There should be an easier way. What if we built a web service where you could just send HTML, so the syntax is good, and we could even use the Prince library, so you could make one PDF document and it would cost you a reasonable amount of money instead of spending $4,000. So how do we make it? So like I said before, pretty much do everything with a web app, Ruby on Rails, and if you guys not being Rails programmers, there's already a lot of convenient plugins to do this kind of thing. So there's a plugin called Princely that uses Prince in a really nice way, as long as you've already paid $4,000. We needed to integrate DOI and some other things. We wrote a parser to translate HTML and CSS into JXL or POI code to generate the Excel documents, which is probably the more interesting part of making it. Other points. All right, you come up with a good picture for parser. So it seemed reasonable to me. Parser is really the only part of this that actually took any substantial amount of time in building it initially, and it still takes up the most amount of time just because people will do things with the syntax of their code and we'll have to take into account. Let's see. Right. We also decided to self-design it. This is actually an image we used. And I'm not worried that we decided to do the design ourselves. I think that it was an interesting experiment. Though, well, yeah, it did not turn to work for us. Apparently, people have a certain standard that they expect from a web service they're integrating with, and a rather, I don't even know what that is on his head, did not cut it. Let's see.
It's a little different from your current logo.
Yeah, we left that up for like, we self-designed thing up for like 3 or 4 months, and got one up total, even with advertising, something like $500,000 a month on advertising. We got 1 sign up in 4 months, so that was a pretty good clue. Like that, there's some things that you can't. There's a minimum amount of design that is necessary for marketing to take an effect. And so we paid a local designer to do thing and make the awesome logo for us. And we got a bunch of apps just because people were really excited about the logo. So, I mean, that seemed like well spent to me.
How much did you say spending on advertising?
About $100 to $1,000 a month.
Okay. About 500,000.
Oh, wow, that would be a lot. I'm pretty sure for $500,000 I could just be like, here's $10,000, sign up for my product.
Right.
Just to be fair, like one of the experiments that we did even after the design, like I tried doing Google ads for this kind of thing. It was terrible. The cost per acquisition was like $450.
Good luck with it.
I don't know what it was. And my CPA was actually it's even on Facebook. Like everybody, all the marketing people I talked to were like, oh, you got to market on Facebook. You can targeted advertising. No, it was terrible. Like I think I spent almost $1,000 and got nothing from Facebook.
Huh.
It was. I don't know exactly why that is. I'm not a marketing guy. I'm a developer of trade, so some of these things I'm just doing by trying things and seeing what happens. And what I quickly learned is that for whatever my audience, the audience for DocRaptor isn't on Facebook. At least isn't responding to the message when they're on Facebook. Do you guys use Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on Facebook and you're kind of my target audience. Do you guys click on the ads in Facebook?
Block install. Block install.
That's the obvious answer. Thank you guys.
What did you have luck with as far as advertising goes?
What's that?
What did you luck with as far as advertising goes?
Nothing. No traditional advertising was worth anything. So we switched everything to like we just look for people asking questions about making PDF or Excel documents, and then gently lead them in the direction of DocRaptor, and that had significantly more success for way less money. It's kind of a deep hole because you can really spend as much time as you want trolling the internet looking for people asking questions about this kind of thing. But it's free and it's super effective because one of the reasons we were having problems targeting people, even on Google, is that the keys that people tend to associate with, they tend to be really overloaded. So the exact meaning of what they're looking for is wide. So I think we were getting a lot of people that were clicking on it under obviously whether or not DocRaptor is going to solve their problem, but they were actually looking for something different entirely. So we really didn't even have a chance to convert. Whereas the more style, like, let's link and do some keywords, for being right in front of people that are like, how do I turn HTML into a PDF? Which is a lot active. Yeah, I mean, well, this is more interesting. Yeah, so the, like, technical side, so DocRaptor took us about a week to make the first version. Actually not very long. But the money of DocRaptor is super tricky because they want it exactly when they want it, and they don't want it any other time. So, unless I'm in front of you exactly when you need it, it's pretty not. It doesn't fly, or at least in my experience so far. You guys have awesome marketing ideas for me. Feel free to shout out. Let's see. So, let's see what else I got. Right. So we just put it up on one box on Space Cloud. Not even a good one. Like it's not really that processor intensive, really. Like it doesn't really take up a ton of resources the vast majority of the time. The biggest problem is that people, if you submit large documents, like we have people try to submit like a text or something to PDF, that takes some processing. Because I mean, 100 meg text is a lot of text.
Do you cap people to try to load large documents or do some kind of deferred processing on it, or?
So there's a document generation timeout of a minute.
Okay.
If it's more than a minute to make your document, then we just tell you that it took too long to make your document. We would, so far, I think only one person has managed to hit. It's definitely possible. We've been doing something, trying to do something a little more polite, like building in, like right now, if you want to build something larger, it would be polite, I think, to have an automatic thing. So instead of us making the document in real time and sending it back to you, making the document in the background and then hitting a postback URL or something like that. But so no one has asked us to make documents that large. People ask us about how fast we can make documents rather than what the biggest document we can make is. There's a lot of people making like we have. They tend to be making things like presentations, so it's 20 or 30 seconds.
Conference.
Captain Maryville.
Hello. How you doing?
Great. I'm sorry we're late. We've had a lot of difficulties trying to connect here.
Oh, no problem. We're train of thought. What were we talking about? Well,
How fast you can make PDFs.
so we were talking about, I'll back up a little. I don't know if you, those just joined, I don't know if you had a chance to look at DocRaptor at all, if you have any idea basically what we're talking about, or I give a quick review.
Lynette, how many people do you guys have up in Maryville?
Oh, one guest today.
Have you guys checked out DocRaptor, or do you need a little overview of it?
It'll be nice.
Okay. So we'll do the super quick version here. Okay, so DocRaptor is a software service application my company made to make it easier for us to generate documents, specifically PDF and Excel documents, because that is something that clients want all the time, because they're big corporate clients and love PDF and Excel documents as much as they love money. So, the quick HTML to PDF or Excel we wanted better syntax, and Ruby libraries were not mustard. So, like, this is an example of the kind of Excel document, like, just in terms of and that kind of thing. And then this is the code in a Java library that would be able to make that. This code that would be required to make that same document using DocRaptor. And the PDF, like, there's a cost issue. The library that we could find costs $4,000 to use, and everything else is way worse than it. So we want better syntax, something that cost a more reasonable amount of money to use, and didn't take 3 gig to make a 10,000 row Excel document. So making some technical improvements is the goal. What we were talking about was this slide was about we did some our first iteration. We did the design ourselves, and we talked about the marketing impact that it had on it. It was pretty negative, and so we were talking about the ways that I tried marketing DocRaptor and how the majority of them did not work, including Google, Facebook, pretty much all traditional advertising. And the design also that didn't really work. So then we moved into I think that brings pretty much up to speed in about minutes. So we're like, what it is that people ask us for. Somebody in Lafayette asked if we had kind of limits on like how big a document could be, and the answer is there's a 1 minute document generation timeout. So no one's hit it, but you could definitely submit enough data. And read kind of a hole, because if you decided to submit, like quick requests of a gig each, or you could saturate all the app servers with upload for a while, and it's super irritating. I just don't think that anybody's that interested in blessing DocRaptor, because we're just not that popular yet. But yeah, so the answer that I was about to finish giving was, we'll probably at some point have the ability to do deferred document generation, and maybe even stored doc generation, so that you can reduce the cost or keep assets on the server or do things like that to make it much faster. But for now, nobody has that problem, and we try to not solve problems people don't have.
So I know I'm bidding against DocRaptor. I should DDoS it on that day when the presentation is due.
That is the correct answer. Also, I just told you how to do this, so I'm glad you attended.
Hey, how do you solicit feedback?
That's great. So I actually have a slide for this. An experiment, and this is one of the most, to me, this is one of the biggest successes of DocRaptor. So I was there's a lot of knowledge out there about the correct way to solicit feedback from people, but I decided to go with the shotgun approach and just make it really simple. And people use every single one of those. Yet someone has even actually mailed us something. Physically, people have used every single one of those, and what's interesting is how it tends to be personality type or job type segregated. So business people, pretty much exclusively business people, all of us, and typically their questions are like, are you a real company? Are you, going to disappear in the middle of the night? Whereas people that have technical questions, they tend to hop in Campfire or use the support email address. Most Campfire though, because real-time help is always really awesome. And that's it was interesting to me because this the first application we've made. It's not the first application we've helped other people launch, but people to be more conservative, or all the other apps that I've been involved in have been a lot more conservative in the ways in which you can contact the company. And like, we get a ton of contact. Like, if it's a buy where we don't have at least 2 or 3 people talking to us about DocRaptor, it's a very odd day. Which I think is
How much usage have you seen with your user voice account?
What's that?
How will contact you for user voice?
None, actually. Yours is, it's slightly more popular than snail mail.
That's kind of.
I would attribute to the fact that, you know, you kind of need to sign up for it to be useful, and people sign up. I sign up for things, so. I guess with some reverse feedback, like, how do you guys like to talk to companies about this kind of thing?
I'll tweet at companies every once in a while.
I've never tweeted at a company. An email. Yeah, you chat.
Okay. So it sounds like this is why that this approach works really well. Like, we strongly recommend to everybody that we talk to that they do this thing, because everyone feels comfortable communicating in a different way. So you make it as broad as possible and meet people on their earth. Let's see. So
Can you set this up like a web service?
it is,
Can I like trigger it?
yes, it is a web service application with a REST interface. So you can just post your document content to us, and we send you back the document. The idea is to make it really easy to use, regardless of what technology environment looks like. So no matter, like, the entire it's super language agnostic, because you're just sending us HTML and do that with anything. We have examples on the DocRaptor website of like 6 or 7 languages about how to do it.
So we send you the HTML, and all this can be done with any human interface.
Yes. Yeah, we on the front of DocRaptor there's like a try it now button with, you know, Xbox, and you can put your HTML in there and try it, but it's really intended to be used. It's really API only kind of thing. Like, it's meant for you to it's meant to be used. Like example is like companies, they make proposals for people, and they integrate with DocRaptor so that you input your proposal into their app, and then you push this button, and they submit the proposal to DocRaptor. We turn it into a PDF. So so most of the people that receive benefits of DocRaptor don't know that DocRaptor exists.
Has your conference.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So, right, yeah, so it's mostly, I think the technical term for it is it's an OEM model. So, people that are making web services and want to make PDF an option are integrating with DocRaptor so that the users of the web service can get PDFs.
Pricing model. How do you model for the pricing?
So typically it's per document tiered. So like the lowest plan is $15 a month, and there's never any hard limit. So you can, on a plan, you can make as many documents as you want. We won't stop you, but the higher up the plan goes, the cheaper it gets. The price pricing was a really interesting thing on DocRaptor because we started off and we did some, we were trying how to price it fairly, and we weren't exactly how much support time it was going to take or those other things. So our pricing actually made people really angry. Literally we got one email that just said, "You are jerks." That was it. So we took the cue that pricing was unacceptable, and so, but really by that point we had some experience with things like how much support time it was going to cost us and things like that. We had a better idea about what it was costing us to run DocRaptor. We adjusted our prices, and they're much lower now. Let's see. Actually, we got it here. Yeah, it gets down to a document, which really we felt like was a pretty good bargain. Buying yourself, which is $4,000, so like a pretty good deal to us. And we get complaints anymore about our prices, which maybe that means we went too low.
But you can do as many PDFs as you want for a client.
So if you see my screen here, like on the max plan, so the max $150, and you get 5,000 documents, and then every document after that is 3 cents. It's a capacity planning measure for us, because if we just were like, you up and you make documents, we wouldn't have any idea how many documents you intend to make, and even though a particular user probably isn't really making enough documents to push us over the edge, we have enough users now that we actually do have to care about how many we need to have. So it's kind of a capacity planning measure. So like if you're not looking to make very many documents, use the basic plan, you get 125 documents, but that's at 12 cents a document, and then it's the more documents you're making, the cheaper it gets. So classic tiered pricing. Well, we're hoping that at some point we'll be making enough documents that we can just do it kind of Amazon style, where it's just documents, and the more you make, the cheaper it's automatically. Does your question?
Yes, thank you.
The pricing turned out to be a pretty interesting problem, which I don't know exactly what I learned other than take a stab at it, and then back, or sometimes people give you feedback, and if the feedback's super negative, so you can adjust it.
The feedback.
What's that?
I said the feedback.
It absolutely is. That's really something that surprised me about DocRaptor, is the amount of feedback we get. We get a lot of feedback. Like, people really like to talk to us about it, which I'm super happy with.
That.
That's a good. I mean, definitely, I think that the numbers you can talk to us is valuable, but I also think that the turnaround time that we have is really important. Like, say 48 hours, but our average turnaround time is more like 3 hours. And obviously, if you hop in Campfire, if anybody's in Campfire, they will probably answer your question. I think that the promptness of the reps, like it lets that feedback cycle. So it's like, you send me something and you're like, I like this improvement. Oh, if I do months from now, you probably forgot about it. If I do it tomorrow, you're probably really excited about that. So I think that we've had enough times now that we actually have some people that are genuinely excited about the product, and just like, okay, I'm going to integrate this thing and forget all about it.
How many customer service agents do you have to have per number of customers? Do you have that figure?
That is a good question, and so right now, expected behavior is 4 people. And right now, kind of just, we take customer service calls opportunistically. So whoever is the most available at the time of request, and right now, all the customer service requests for DocRaptor takes about 15 to 20 hours a month, and we have subscribers. So
That's not.
no, it really is not, and I'm really impressed with the level of courtesy in support requests, because I was a little afraid that people were going to be rude and mean, and it was gonna harm morale, because nobody likes to be yelled at. But for everyone really nice, and they're just like, hey, I have this problem, will you help me? And we work it out, and everyone's home happy. So this thing has definitely worked out way better than I thought it would. I strongly encourage, especially the phone number. I strongly encourage the phone number, because people are afraid that it's going to take up a bunch of time. It doesn't. All they get, they're like 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops. Really, go ahead.
2.25 minutes a customer is what you're averaging.
Yeah, and really they want to know that if they needed to call, if it was really important, we want to answer the phone. And when I answer the phone and they realize that there's a real human being that they'll actually answer, so if their hair is on fire, they can get it fixed. They're so much more comfortable, and like it's me like no call, and every single calls is a conversion. Every single one has signed up. Let's see what else. Oh right, so this is interesting, which I called out on until now. So the phrase, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. So we decided to do that on this one a little bit. The Prince license was vague as to whether or not it would be okay for us to use their library in a web service, and we decided to just go ahead and do it. Figured that popular enough that we were worthy of notice, then we would do something out with them. Well, it turns out guys are super on the ball, and they noticed in like hide it or anything. Like we link to Prince, and we have the Prince documentation on our page, so we weren't trying to hide anything. But they were much faster than we expected. But it also turned out that they were pretty cool. Like, they called me up and they're like, hey, you're using our software. And I was like, yes, we're making basically no money at it so far. But they were really interested, because those guys, it turns out, while they are great at making PDF generation libraries, they're not so good at making web applications. So they've been looking for a partner to do this very thing, but anybody that could do it. So instead of being super angry and trying to sue us, they were like, hey, why don't we just deal and everybody wins? And that's what we did. And so rather than just using Prince, we're now the exclusive online provider of this library, and this is their brand and everything. So I'd say for my first use of don't ask for permission, it turned out really, really well.
Do you think that they direct a lot of traffic to you?
They do. They are by far, they are all number 1 or number 2 on our referral list. Personally lists us. If you go to the Prince down page, DocRaptor is listed there as an alternative way of purchasing Prince. And that definitely helped a lot. Once we got that deal sorted out and they linked to us, we started getting a lot of conversions that way, because if you print, but you really only want to make 10 documents a year, DocRaptor is really, it's a much better deal for you. And it's a really good deal for Prince guys, because they were losing those sales for the most part. The people that only wanted to make 10 PDFs didn't want to pay $400 a PDF. PDF. Can't imagine why, but so that was a lesson learned, and that was pretty valuable. I know a little scary, but I think that I would do it again. The not asking for permission. I think my experience at this point is that most companies would rather negotiate than sue. Oh, right. So a little bit about this earlier, but they definitely went for functionality overlooks in our first thing. And it definitely cost us, especially the first few months. Like, we probably wasted a bunch of money. You know, I am confident we wasted a bunch of money on marketing because it was spent hiring a designer. So at this point, I'm willing to concede that it's probably not worth launching unless you at least have somebody make a logo for you. But I will looking for the bottom there, because none of us are designers, we're all developers, and I really just want to ship applications. So I think what we'll try the next time is just getting a designer to make a logo and shipping with that and seeing if that's enough. But you live and learn. Well, we talked support, talk pricing. I'll write you another unexpected bonus. Have you guys ever heard of Heroku?
I've had someone come and do a presentation on, I think, Ruby, and they talked a little bit about it, but I'm not very familiar with it.
Okay. So Heroku is a completely provisionless hosting provider that targets Ruby. Think of it as magic. Basically, how it works is not really deploying that you do. Whenever you deploy, you just push your Git repo to a Heroku remote, and Heroku automatically takes your code and deploys it, and then sign into Heroku, and there are some sliders so you can be like, I want this many app servers, and I want this much database power, and it just happens magically in the background. But the downside to Heroku and downside to Magic is that they have to limit things in a lot of ways. And so one of the ways they limit things is obviously you can't install anything special on their servers, which means if you need to use Java or Prince is a compiled C library or anything like that, you can't do it. So if you need something like that, you can't deploy to Heroku anymore. Well, once we heard that, we're like, hey, we solved that problem. So we made we're the official add-on to Heroku. So Doc now also appears on Heroku's page, and that's pretty good for us because Heroku's owned by Salesforce, and they get a ton of traffic. So that turned out to be, I planned that at all. I didn't think about that when we were making it. But I think the lesson I learned from that is that if you make solve a problem that really no one else has solved before, there tend to be a lot of opportunities that you haven't thought of in advance. So if you're just looking for them, some really good ones will turn up. Let's see. Reach the end. Is there anything else that I can talk questions? Anything I can show you guys?
We talked a little bit about doing like deferred processing on your documents.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how well Ruby deals with threads and things like that?
I do know the answer to the question. So in terms of, I'll answer in a couple ways. So in terms of performance, Ruby's threading mechanisms are, I would universally call them second class. They're the best threading implementation. In terms of ease of use, they're fantastically easy. So there's a way of going about it in Ruby is to use the queue as a worker pool, and that's probably what we would do. There's a queuing system called Rescue made by guys that run GitHub, and it can even be backed by Memcache. So very performance queuing system. So we probably install Rescue, and then rather than even do anything, we probably just cram your writing application process, cram it into the Rescue queue, and then workers take it off the stack. And then as part of the background process, do the postback URL or postback to the URL you gave us. So that's the typical Ruby way of solving that problem, and it's really, really easy to implement. So we will probably do that sometime in the near future.
When you first started out, you built the thing in like a week. Have you had to do a rewrite or a second iteration on it?
Definitely not rewrite. We've made a bunch of changes, but all those changes have been in response to users. So some of those things have been bugs, like people, particularly with the Excel thing, because we had to write our own parser. And sometimes we'll do things that don't so well, but mostly like no fundamental logic flaws, just edge cases, and then adding features. So, like from a standpoint, we clearly didn't realize we were building something that was an OEM model, so we didn't add OEM features. So practically one of the first things that people are asking for was, is there some way that, like consultants would be like, is there some way that I can just sign up myself and then bill my clients for however many documents they use? So we've had a bunch of features like that, but definitely no rewrite. I think that at this point we probably spent as much adding features as did doing the initial write, but I think that it's to me that we chose the right feature set to start off with, because enough to get people interested. We didn't have any features that we didn't use, and that's always a good place to start.
Can you give us an idea of how your costs buy it up between like support and maintenance and the marketing side?
Sure. By far the highest cost is marketing, going cost of marketing, which I get paying my clients. They, we still spend somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a month on marketing DocRaptor, which is really, all my marketing friends scoff at me as that being an incredibly low number, but it works for me. The cost is definitely support, just because, the vast majority of the time, so time is money, and so the time that we spend doing DocRaptor support, we're not clients. So that's out usually to be maybe another $1,000 a month, and then typically maintenance is pretty low. At this point, I would say in the last 3 months, 90% of our support requests they don't even have anything to do with DocRaptor. Most of these people that are like, I don't know how to make a valid HTML document, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
And, in some senses it's like, that's not really, we're not like the HTML tutorial guys. And we found that every person that we help, all the completion, signs up for a paying plan. We some lifetime value calculations, and now the lifetime value of one of our customers is, I think, $325. So, that means that we can give them support and spend a good amount on marketing and take a profit. Mm-hmm. And, that lifetime value calculation is still pretty new because, DocRaptor is still pretty new. So that I fully expect that to continue to rise.
What adoption curve look like?
Adoption curve.
Like, did everybody and their mother sign up? Like, they got a better logo, or?
That's the thing. Okay, so I looked at the curve. I actually haven't made a curve of signups, but I definitely say that the number of signups goes by about 1% every month, and that's been pretty steady the entire time that we've had it on. So it's not an overwhelming amount because we started at we started at a low number, but 20% increase every month is pretty good, especially considering that they're paying us some money. So I think last month we got 3 signups, and the month before that we were in the upper 60s, something like that. Is that a question?
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
Go ahead.
My hope is actually concerning that adoption curve. We're currently on page 2. I think we're on page 2 of for the Google keyword HTML to PDF. My hope is that if we get to page 1 or the first page 1, that our traffic will go up quite a bit, and then I'm hoping that our signups will also go up quite a bit. So I'm hoping to have it sometime in the next 2 or 3 months, and we'll see a big spike.
To process payments on the site.
5, actually.
Okay.
We've used every single subscription management software package out there that we're aware of, and they are the worst.
What are fees on them?
Okay, so Chargeify they don't do the whole thing for you, so I think that we pay Chargeify like flat $50 a month, and then we use Authorize.net, and then there's some other like gateway processor, so I think it works out to like $50 a month plus like 1% per charge or something like that.
They have to have a payment gateway on top of Chargeify?
Yes. They are working on being a complete clearinghouse, but that's just something that Recurly does. They do the entire thing for you, which a lot of people balk at Recurly's prices because they're like, oh my god, you're so much more expensive than CheddarGetter or Chargeify, which is true, but Recurly is everything in one package. So I feel like it's a lot more upfront in that way. We mostly just did use Recurly because we didn't like their API that much.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else I can answer?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for the questions, guys.
This is very helpful.
Awesome. And if you think of any more questions, you can email me, matt@expectedbehavior.com, or use the DocRaptor contact thing. Happy to answer.
And I'm not exactly sure how the WebEx video works, but would it be possible to put this on LinkedIn group, or is that a possibility?
I don't know, but I will try and work that out.
Yeah, I know Michael was interested in seeing it, so if nothing else, you can take a look at it. Okay.
Okay, guys. Have a good one.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The conference.
That's
Head conference.